Hello and welcome back to this Air Hauler 2 tutorial series. It's episode number 2 today, and we're going to go and see if we can complete our first flight. So what we need to do, everybody, is we go up to cargo, passengers and routes, because we're focusing on cargo jobs for a start here. And there's two ways you can find which jobs are available. You can go to your overview map right here, and it shows you a list of jobs and a few other options here, remembering that our home base here is in NZWN. Or we can click on available jobs. Either or is going to do the job, so to speak. Now, if we take a look through the list of these jobs, you're going to probably notice there's a bit of an issue, and that's the quantity of these jobs. So essentially, this is how much cargo you're carrying. Now, the problem is that our Kiwi Mace C90 can only take 630 odd of quantity, and as you can see, the lowest one we've got here is 970. Well, the good news is the quantity that's shown on your aircraft page, and let's just take a quick look here, 638 right here. That's with your fuel tanks completely full. So what we can do is, as long as it's a shorter than full tank flight, we can put a bit of fuel off the aircraft and add a bit more cargo. So we probably want a fairly short flight if we can. This one here, maybe through to Christchurch. I think we should be fine to be able to fit everything in there. So if we go ahead and accept the job down the bottom left hand corner, accept the courier job for documents to NZCH. Yes, and now that job has been accepted. So if we go to our overview map, accept the jobs, let's get it right, it will show that our the one that we've accepted is sitting in there ready to be flown. And this is where the problem is going to be for us, everybody. So if we go ahead and say fly now down the bottom there, we can't fly it because we're not qualified to fly any aircraft. And that's what today's episode is going to cover off, is how to get your type rating for the aircraft that you want to fly. So essentially in Air Hauler 2, any aircraft that you want to fly, or if you've got an AI pilot that you've hired, either one of you must have the type rating in order to carry out the job. So I'll show you how to do that. It's really straightforward. Remembering that we need the type rating for the Kiwi Mace C90. So you just go up to company information up the top there, go to personal info, and on the right hand side here you'll see all the type ratings that you currently hold. Now, for some reason, it's showing type ratings for the Beechcraft Baron 58 and the PA31, which is the Piper Navajo. Now, those are type ratings that I picked up on other companies when I was testing things out and stuff like that with other companies. So for some reasons, it's pulled through. I'm not sure if that's a bug or if it's something that is a feature in the game. So I'll need to figure that out. But anyway, nonetheless, you just click on Add Type Rating, and you have a drop-down list of all the aircraft in your fleet. And at the moment, we've only got one, so we'll choose that. It's going to cost you some money, $1,299.23 in this case. Considering we've got $2 million in the bank because we took the easy option for this tutorial, that's not a problem whatsoever. So we just say OK and take the flight test. So this is the cargo loading box that will always show up before you do any sort of flight. Now, whether it's a test type rating flight or a proper cargo flight, but of course, and what you would usually do is you would you transfer your cargo across to onboard your aircraft from the loading bay across to your aircraft, and then away you go. Now, down the bottom here, you can see the fuel load, and you can adjust that also. And that's what we're going to have to do when we do actually go and fly this flight, because remembering that we're going to need a bit of extra space to be able to fit in that cargo. But anyway, those are things we're not going to have to worry about too much at the moment, because we change nothing here when we need to do a type rating flight. We just press OK. And if we take a look at this here, this will go ahead when we press this button. It will launch our X-Plane 11 program. But read this here. Click the button below to launch X-Plane, then choose Resume Last Flight from the X-Plane menu. So that's how you go ahead and do it. Remember I said that, and hopefully you are if you're just practicing and learning how to use this program, that you're using a default aircraft. Because if you're using a payware aircraft, sometimes it might throw some error messages like you're at the wrong airport or something like that. And that's because it doesn't like this automatic launch feature. If that is the case for you, you just need to go up to the options, go to network mode, and then do all the preloading and everything yourself. But I totally recommend just using the default aircraft in the meantime. So let's go ahead and launch X-Plane. I'll meet you there once it's all ready to go. While it's loading up, I'll just show you this screen here. This is always on in the background when you're looking to complete a flight. And you've got a little amber light here on in the meantime. And when you connect to your X-Plane, it will actually show you a green light. And so you know you're connected. Any messages go in here. It talks here about welcome to your air hauler type rating flight. Let me just extend that out. Start up and taxi your aircraft, take off and follow prompts, then land back at New Zealand NZWN. Do not stall or overspeed. Do not exceed 45 degrees pitch or 40 degrees roll. Now, what I would say on these little type rating tests, they're not too hard at all. Usually you take off, do a few turns, change your altitude a couple of times, and then it tells you to go and land. And you've got to have an okay landing. So a relatively smooth landing. But on this little screen here, you once you finish your flight, you can finish your flight monitoring, and it will give you a nice little pop-up box to show you how you went. And this just runs in the background while you're completing any flight that you are flying. So including type rating flights. So flight monitoring option over here, you've got some options you can choose here. So you might have a really long flight. You can press auto pause and maybe pause it at the a certain number of nautical miles before top of descent. Okay, so Air Hauler 2 has loaded up X-Plane, and like I said, all you do is say resume last flight. I've got a set of pedals plugged in, so ignore that. Now it's going to load up the flight. Now, just one thing to let you know is once you've loaded up your flight, you might find, because it's using Zulu time, that it's in the middle of the night and it's dark, and you might just want it to be light just for your first type rating flight. You can go in and adjust those, go into flight configuration. You can adjust where you start from, the time of day, all that sort of stuff. So what I'll usually do for this tutorial, what I'll do is I'll make sure it's in the daytime, and I'll go ahead and set the aircraft up on the runway just so we can get straight into the flight. So I'll meet you all once the flight's ready to go. Okay, here we are, just about to take off, everybody, and we got the signal there to say taxi and take off. I'm actually recording this commentary after I did the flight, just so I could focus on what I was doing. It's not an aircraft I'm familiar with at all, to be honest, and I'm hand flying the aircraft, so no use of autopilot or anything like that. So some of the skills might be pretty average, to say the least. So you saw a little bit of a jump cut there, and a message that you'll get soon after takeoff, which is to climb up to your initial altitude, 3,400 for us. Then we were told to turn on to 262 and level out at 3,400 feet. So that's exactly what we're doing right now. And another jump cut to another instruction to go to heading 206 and level out at 4,300. So a bit of an increase in altitude, and you'll keep seeing those instructions change right there. As you can see, we're right in the middle of a cloud bank, and it was pretty difficult to keep things straight and narrow. I've got to say, I couldn't see a thing, so my IFR skills really came into play. So just following the instructions there, all pretty straightforward, as you can see. And then the final one to say, hey, come in and land your aircraft. And here we go. It was a little bit hairy to say. It was quite windy. Luckily, it wasn't a massive crosswind. But my lack of knowledge around this aircraft really showed. It came in a little bit too hot. Then I realised that I was bleeding off speed too much, so I had to pump up the engines a bit. And then there we go, and we got an okay landing, and that's exactly what we were aiming for. So yeah, that was not too bad in the end. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. I managed to complete the flight, which I'm very, very happy about, and got all the ticks right there. So congratulations, you passed with no issues, and that's exactly what you want to see. Okay, so you press OK there, and if we just hold tab out of X-Plane right there, and here we go. Here's our console again, our flight console. So you just go ahead and press Finish Flight Monitoring. And after every single flight that you fly, you'll get a flight performance results and performance graph. Not graph, it's just a table showing you a whole lot of information. G exceeded, if you had any overspeeds, the type of landing you had, all that sort of stuff. So there you go. As you can see here, just 14 minutes to complete that flight. And I actually had to double back and go right around the long way to land, so it's actually not too bad at all. So we go, okay, finish flight monitoring. That will all close down. And as we can see on our profile right here, we've gone ahead and achieved the type rating for the Beechcraft King Air C90. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's how you go about and do it. It is usually pretty straightforward there, but today, obviously, with a bit of cloud around, made it quite challenging, to be fair. But yeah, so get your type rating, and then what we're going to do in the next episode is show you how to load up and complete your proper first flight, your first cargo flight, which will then start earning you a bit of money. So we will catch you then. I want to say a huge thank you very much for watching. Make sure you smash that button, the like button down below, and subscribe if you're new. And until next time, take it easy.